Next, we wanted to talk about, in line with DC stuff, James Gunn's comments from like 11 years ago. I think
it's a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, from what I know, is that his old Facebook account was like unearthed, and some opinions he had about the Batman movies was released to the public and had a lot of controversy. So yeah,
which is funny. It's up there. It's funny to say like, oh, this was released to the public. It's like it's been up there. It's been up there. Just somebody decided to like rehash it, like re-earth, like just like show it again, like a decade plus later.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be controversy, but it is apparently. I mean, and here's the thing: they are very striking opinions.
Yeah, they're pretty. They're pretty harsh opinions.
Now, I will say, speaking on the Batman '89 movie, do you remember what the quotes were?
No, I mean, I can look them up. Real quick.
Basically, he was just like Michael Keaton's voice is terrible for Batman. The movement is terrible for Batman. Jack Nicholson as the Joker's terrible. The soundtrack is terrible. And it's one of like the most boring Batman movies. I think he said it was.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, that is very harsh, but I don't necessarily disagree with him. I am myself am not a fan of Batman 1989. And I'm not a fan of Jack Nicholson's Joker. I agree the movement and the voice are a bit rough for Batman. Also, he complained about Batman, like the way they wrote for Batman. And yeah, a lot of the time they made him like the secondary character to the villains. So like I get all the gripes with those movies. I still really find the second one charming. So gladly he didn't rip into Batman Returns, but he did rip into Batman Begins from 2005.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 2005.
Yeah. And he was basically just saying that he doesn't think that one is a good Batman movie either. I don't remember what else he all said from that.
He was also saying that like the Dark Knight is or at least like it was in it. I mean, I can read all the stuff he's said if you.
He said both Batman Begins and The Dark Knight weren't very good Batman movies. Yeah, go on. Yeah, if you want to.
Keaton did have a ridiculous voice. That said, I'd rather put up with a ridiculous voice than with horrible action sequences and acting barely worthy of the Batman TV show. I have no idea how you can think that the Burton Batman has more similarities with Moore or Miller's Batman and Joker than Nolan's does. And listen, I have problems with both of Nolan's films. I don't think either one is classic, and I don't even really think Batman Begins is good. But they're far superior to the first Batman. C, none of your defenses get by the fact that despite being the first cinematic dark take on Batman, so what? Stallone's Judge Dredd was the first dark take on Judge Dredd. The movie is awful. Oh yeah, and Jack Nicholson as the Joker is Jack Nicholson in The Shining with shitty clown makeup. Fuck you, everyone involved with that travesty. And then that Batman is poorly written. The soundtrack is the worst work of everyone involved, which I highly disagree with, by the way. One of the most boring films ever. But some parts of that
soundtrack is bad.
Not only that, the reveal of the Joker as the killer of Bruce Wayne's parents spits in the face of Batman's origins.
Sure, I don't love that either.
And Burton's Planet of the Apes is genius in comparison.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So okay. It's some pretty harsh takes. For sure. I would love to know what he thinks about those movies all these years later.
Now, yeah, over a decade later.
But it's also kind of like, I don't know if I would necessarily believe whatever he decides to say, because he's the head of DC, and I don't know what to take from,
because like I can't imagine that him criticizing any like past DC movie that's considered a classic would go over well, right? So I don't think he will ever say that again. If he's asked about that again,
yeah. But I think I think if those are his takes, like those are his opinions, and that's fine.
Right.
You can dislike movies that other people like, and that doesn't mean that you have no grasp or cannot be in charge of a studio that owns that character. I certainly don't think that Batman 1989 is
a travesty.
I don't think it's terrible. I also don't think it's what I ever imagined Batman to be. No. I think it's nostalgic, and I think it's, for a lot of people, it was really big and it's important, and it certainly has a lot of pop cultural relevancy, and it is like, I do love the theme. I do love like the idea of the suit. I think the suit's a little, it's a little rough, but
I don't know if anything for me was executed well in that movie besides like how Gotham looked.
Yeah,
I love how Gotham looks in those two movies, but everything else, maybe the Batmobile's good, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't love most of that first Batman in 1989.
I mean, I haven't seen it in a minute, but I didn't like. Yeah, it was good. Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't mind it. It wasn't like what I thought of as Batman. It was just kind of this like, we're gonna try to make a Batman movie in live action, and it was just like an interesting take. It was an interesting sort of experiment, and I like Batman Returns a lot.
Yeah, me too.
I think his takes on do I think that the Nolan Batmans are like definitive Batman stories either? No, I think they're very much like a hyper real, like not hyper, but like a very, it's much more grounded and trying to make Batman like an actual person. And it's more,
it's not your stereotypical Batman.
Yeah, like Gotham is not Gotham. I mean, Gotham gets the most Gotham looking in the first movie, and it's still just more of a gritty city. Like there's not like a whole ton of personality to it. But what I want to say is, I think anybody who's like, "Oh, fired James Gunn," how dare he? He can have these opinions. The only thing that I think is an issue is when the new Batman movie comes out. Everyone, if it's not amazing, if it's not the best Batman movie you've ever seen, people are just gonna pull up these comments and be like, and it's just gonna suck to be him, because they're gonna be like, well, now you had the chance to make a Batman movie, and now like what like these are your opinions of these other popular Batman movies, and they're just gonna be used as like some sort of way to troll him or
it's possible.
There's definitely going to be people who are like, look what you said and you made this shit, like.
Right. Yes. Because he has his hand in the movie regardless, but it's not like he's directing and writing like Batman like he is for Superman. It's not like he's going to get full, blame for when it
I would hope
does good or bad.
But he's still the head. So I do think there'll be a bit of like, well, you did see the dailies every day, and you did like pick out who you wanted to be the director, and so and so forth.
Yeah, that's true. So probably not good to have these comments out there. But I'm not upset with him to have these opinions.
I think they're pretty crazy.
I'm not even upset that he's
like. I think they're harsh. I think they're very harsh.
They're very harsh. They're very harsh opinions, and I think he was a very radical opinion guy back in that kind of era. So it doesn't surprise me that was what he was saying back then. But yeah, I don't think he would make those comments today. I'm not even sure if he believes those comments fully today. Who knows? But yeah, I definitely don't fully disagree with him. I definitely don't fully agree with him either. But yeah, some very interesting comments.
Yeah.